Hi everyone, so in this video what we're going to look at is we're going to look through a full written piece that someone has done in 15 minutes who is applying for the Victorian selective entrance exam that is usually held in June each year. So let's go through this. What this is Exam Success provides a written feedback service. So people submit their questions and we provide you detailed feedback by the video, so a 15-minute video or a full 3-page report which shows you in detail the areas that you are to improve gradually each week for the exam. Okay, let's go through this particular piece. And what they've done is they've chosen a grade 8 question, which is bullying can take many forms, such as online, in person, through phone. Some people who have been bullied in the past say that it has helped them to become a stronger person. Schools nowadays have policies against bullying. Do you think that schools can totally prevent bullying? And the instructions are answer the above question using at least 2 reasons and 1 counter argument, and in this case this student has tried to do this in 15 minutes, okay, so which is the time frame for the selective exam. So let's see what she's done. So first of all, she's had her position no, they cannot. Students may be scared and therefore not tell, and then there was no sort of second argument. That's okay as long as there is a clear progression in the essay itself. That's not an issue. But what I've really liked here is that in its plan she's got a position. With the exam you need to have a position if they do ask you yes or no, because it is easier to argue for one side or the other as opposed to saying it depends. Okay, so let's see what exactly has been written. So, do schools totally prevent bullying? Bullying cannot be totally prevented by schools. Students who are bullied may not be that strong to approach the principal or a teacher. Schools cannot check upon everyone to see if they are all right, and there are no bullies in school. Okay, so we see here that she's got her position, and here she's got her 2 arguments. Okay, the first one being so bullies, I guess the victim may not notify. Okay, and the second point is I guess it's impractical to I guess schools don't have the resources to constantly monitor and therefore totally prevent. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the first paragraph. Students who are getting bullied should approach a teacher or a principal. If the student does not open up and explain to a teacher about them being bullied, nobody would realize that he is going through a lot of unnecessary stress. If a bully is verbally or physically bullying someone, it is the victim's responsibility to complain on the bully and get their problem sorted out. It is easier to approach an elder person in the school to talk about how you are bullied. There are a lot of good things, but there are also, I guess, missing links with this paragraph. We'll go through that shortly. What I want to do now is we'll go through the whole thing. Schools cannot check upon everyone and see if they are not being bullied. They do not go on social media every now and then to check upon their students, and if nobody is being rude to them, the bully might warn the victim not to tell anyone that he is being bullied. The bully might threaten the victim, which may prevent the victim from not telling anyone. Again, this section here, the bully might threaten the victim. This part here sort of relates back to that first argument. Okay, so we need to be a bit more clearer about our first argument, what that's saying, and then the second part. Okay, and I'll show you that how to do that shortly. what we've got here is the victims try to show on their face that they are benevolent and carefree, but inside they would have felt heartbroken and shattered. So this is the counter argument. Some may argue that there are policies around schools which teach students not to bully one another. Classes are held in schools to educate what bullying can do to other people. However, this is not efficient, as many means like social media are uncontrolled by elders. In conclusion, bullying cannot be prevented by schools. Instead, the student should make the first initiative step and talk to a teacher about their problem. Schools also do not check on their students to see if they are all right and not being bullied. With this in mind, schools cannot totally prevent the indespicable act of bullying. Okay, that is a fantastic conclusion because it sums up everything. Okay, let's talk about what's really good in this piece, okay, overall. Overall, what's really good is 1, the structure. Okay, there's a clear introduction, 2 paragraphs, a counter argument, and also a conclusion. The conclusion is really well written. It's very clear. You know, a lot of the logical links are there. And what else is really good? You know, they've got some good expression. Tenses used are correct. You've got good language. You know, you've got the word indespicable. What else have you got? You've got initiative, step. In conclusion, you've pretty much got great language here and really good structure. So this piece would actually score quite well. I think improvement points are now at the point of looking at detail. One of the main improvement points I would suggest in this particular essay is sort of reworking the paragraphs, okay, especially paragraphs 1 and 2. Okay, the introduction and conclusion, counter argument are okay. If you were to be in an exam situation, I would then focus on the 2 arguments. So let's do that. Okay, I think the reason why these 2 arguments are not as strong as the others is that the first argument doesn't clearly show all logical links. It's a bit messy at some points. And then the second argument has examples that would be more suited to the first paragraph. Okay, what that does is then it builds confusion in the mind of the assessor. Okay, and with argumentative writing, one of the hardest things is first the structure, and it's actually the choice in your arguments. Okay, in this case there are a really good choice of arguments, but the way it's written is a bit confusing only in the first and second paragraph. Okay, and let's rework that now. First of all, the first paragraph should always, and the second paragraph should always have a leading topic sentence. So let's put this in pink. So your first argument is saying victim may not notify the school. Okay, students who are getting bullied may not notify their teacher or principal. In such cases, schools are powerless to prevent bullying because they are unaware that it is happening. Okay? and then you could move on to this section here. If the student does not open up and explain to a teacher about their situation, instead of saying about them being bullied, we could say about their situation where they are being bullied. Nobody or instead of saying the school authorities would realize. So here we'd put not realize that they are going through a lot of stress. Instead of stress, turmoil as a result of the bullying. Okay? The next sentence here says, if a bully is verbally or physically bullying someone, it is the victim's responsibility to complain to the bully and get their problem sorted out. Okay, so let's start here. So what you're saying here is that students who are getting bullied may not notify their teacher or principal. In such cases, schools are powerless to prevent bullying, because that is the question here. The question here no doubt says that should schools totally prevent bullying? No, they cannot totally prevent it. Why? Well, the reason why is that they may be unaware that it's happening. Why is that? Well, because students do not notify their principal. Okay, and why is that? So argumentative writing is a series of questions of why, how, and it's about explaining those and writing that down in a way that's easily understood. Okay, so, and I think this is where this first paragraph, whilst it makes sense, it doesn't succinctly and logically in a easy flow answer these whys and hows. Okay, and that's a process that you can actually undertake yourself. When you read through your writing, think about it and ask yourself the questions. Does this answer why? Does this answer how? When you stop asking those questions, it means that you've got a full paragraph. Okay, so students who are getting bullied may not notify their teacher or principal. In such cases, schools are powerless to prevent bullying because they are unaware that it is happening. If the student does not open up and explain to a teacher about their situation where they are being bullied, the school's authority would not realize that they are going through a lot of turmoil as a result of the bullying. In most cases, victims remain silent due to fear of further bullying or by being threatened by their bully. Okay? It is the victim's responsibility. Okay, victim's responsibility. Notice the apostrophe S because the responsibility belongs to the victim. It is the victim's responsibility to notify someone so they are able to assist them. Without notification, schools cannot totally prevent bullying. Okay, and that would simply be your paragraph. Okay, it's shorter, but it makes for a more cohesive paragraph. What you could also do is, I've noticed down here, you've got these paragraph here where it says The bully might threaten the victim, which may prevent the victim from not telling anyone. So that part there, and I'll put that in these arrows, should be in the first paragraph. Okay, it's more suited to the first paragraph, in which we talk about schools not preventing bullying totally because they might not be aware of it. Okay, so let's read our first paragraph again. Students who are getting bullied may not notify their teacher or principal. Why? Well, what happens? In such cases, schools are powerless to prevent bullying because they are unaware that it is happening. If a student does not open up and explain to a teacher about their situation where they are being bullied, the school authorities would not realise that they are going through a lot of turmoil as a result of the bullying. In most cases, victims remain silent due to fear of further bullying or by being threatened by their bully. It is the victim's responsibility to notify someone so they are able to assist them. Without notification, schools cannot totally prevent bullying. Okay, and that would be the end of your paragraph, and it ties in well to this question: can schools totally prevent bullying? In which case, no, because they don't get the notification. So let's look at paragraph 2 now. So paragraph 2, going back to our introduction, is they do not have the resources to constantly monitor and therefore prevent bullying. So schools cannot check upon everyone and see if they are not being bullied. They do not go on social media. Okay, we start here by saying schools, instead of saying they, schools do not have the resources to monitor social media constantly. Okay? Because schools do not go on social media. Okay, so it's just an expression here. To monitor social media constantly, full stop, instead of every now and then. Okay, so we can cross that part out. And social media is where a lot of the bullying happens, so you need to tell people that social media is where a lot of bullying happens in this day and age. However, without the ability and resources to monitor social media, schools cannot verify nor if bullying is taking place. Okay, so you've explained a few things here. First of all, one, they cannot check up on everyone to see if they're not bullying. Why? Because they don't have the resources to monitor social media. Why is social media so important though? Well, because social media is where a lot of the bullying happens in this day and age. Okay, so we tie that all together. How without the ability and resources to monitor social media, schools cannot verify if bullying is taking place. At this point, you should write, for example, ... and put an example. So, for example, if a girl were to tease another girl on social media, who they are Facebook friends with, that she is, a big so-and-so, schools do not have access to that. Without access to monitoring Facebook accounts, schools cannot tell if something is happening. Okay, and therefore they can't prevent the bullying. Okay, so that's what you need to do with linking. We need to step through the argument, in logical steps, and then answer the why and the how. Okay, so for example, ... and that's something you would fill in, and it's just an example. And then at the end, what you would then say is, this illustrates that schools cannot totally prevent bullying. Okay, full stop. Okay, and that's how you would write your argument. Argumentative writing is very different from creative writing, because creative writing puts a lot of emphasis on the skill of the writing itself. Great expression, great description, even logical structure. But with argumentative writing, the focus here now is on the quality of your argument. So, what choice of argument you're doing, how you're structuring it, and also making the logical sequences in the writing flow. Okay, and by following step by step through here and just changing things, you should be able to polish up your writing. But overall, this is a good writing piece. There are a few things to be changed. The conclusion can be left, but maybe the introduction can be changed slightly. So, bullying cannot totally be prevented by schools. Full stop. This is because students who are being bullied, instead of a comma, just leave it as that, may not notify their school authority. And secondly, ... Instead of saying schools cannot check upon everyone, we could write something on the lines of schools do not have the resources to check upon everyone, to check upon everyone, and therefore prevent bullying before it occurs. Okay, and that's how you would rewrite the introduction. At the end of the day, this is actually, for a 15-minute written piece, it's a well-written piece. It's quite clear. It's structured really well. The argument choice is really good. Okay, she's got two very good arguments. One is the notification of the school, and the second one is, I guess, the resources, the economical aspect of an argument. So you could actually, in my book, how to write an argumentative piece in less than 15 minutes, this shows you different types of arguments you can choose, and she's chosen a really good one here. I think what would happen after this would be, keep practicing your writing, polish up the arguments, keep reviewing your writing, especially after you finished it, if you have time in the 15 minutes, and continue practicing. And from then on, you'd be improving at each point. Okay, so that concludes the video for today.